All the roll and go, where am I to go? Meet Johnny, where am I to go? For I'm a young and a sailor lad, and where am I to go?
Hello, and welcome to Where Am I to Go? Today, again, we are with Melanie here in Deer Lodge, Montana. We just went through the Doll Museum, and now we are at what they call the Frontier Museum. And as we were coming over, we walked past a hobby shop, and Melanie was saying that the inmates are the ones that are making all of the stuff that is in the hobby shop out at the prison.
Yep.
Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, so they're making all the horsehair bridles over there. They do artwork, paintings, beadwork, leather work, anything that can keep them busy. And the reason it's not open right now is because it's actually ran by an inmate worker. And because of the COVID, they can't bring them over. But otherwise, everything in there, and this is also a good way for them to, they sell it.
Okay.
And so some of those bridles over there go for $3,000 because it's a lot to sit there and braid horsehair. And but the good thing about it is they get a portion of the money, and the money also goes to pay off any fines, child support, anything that they may have acquired from whatever put them into prison.
Okay.
So it's a good thing for them too, because they get to learn a trade, they get to create something, but in turn the money is going to do something good. It's going to go help them to pay for anything if they, have any fines or that sort of nature. And
then they also get a little bit of money for the commissary.
Yep. For needs of theirs, that they may need new shoes or pants, shirts, socks, that
food,
sort of thing.
I guess they can buy probably extra food like Twinkies instead of bread and water.
Yep.
So
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So and we are here in Deer Lodge, Montana. I don't know if I had said that. At the prison museum. Yesterday's Playthings is the one that we were just at, and they also have the auto museum. This is going to be like a 4-part podcast in Deer Lodge, Montana.
Right.
But I just want to let everybody know this is just off of Interstate 90. It's halfway between Missoula and Butte, Montana. And Deer Lodge is a fun little town. Mm-hmm. Make sure and stop if you're coming through this way. In fact, I would say figure out how to make a detour and come out this way and spend a day. We've had a very enjoyable day here, and now we're looking forward to seeing the Frontier Museum.
Right? A day or two, huh?
You could. Yes. And if you wanted to play, if you had four-wheelers or something, there's all kinds of area around here for four-wheeling. And last night, just on the other side of Butte, we stopped in at Ringing Rocks and did a short podcast there, and also some yoga where you're at, and did a yoga routine there.
Nice.
But those Ringing Rocks, it's just amazing, the tones that they can make, and the trails. We saw four-wheelers and people in the side-by-sides and stuff all over up in there, and the country is just absolutely beautiful around here.
And the amazing part, don't take any rocks with you because they only ring there.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes. It won't ring anywhere else, so you got to just leave the rocks. Yeah. So here in Frontier Montana Museum, this whole front room is one person's collection.
One person's collection.
Yes, Don Kappa, who's a gentleman here in town, this is all his collection.
Well, I'm glad he's got this museum because it wouldn't fit inside of a normal person's house if you didn't have beds or furniture.
Right. It's absolutely amazing and wonderful.
Wow. I really like it. We were talking to Sherm over there at the Auto Museum. It is so cool that he's got all of these cars and willing to put them on display.
Oh, yes.
And let people see the collection he's got. And just standing here in the lobby, kind of looking around at this collection, there's
it's
guns
amazing.
everywhere from all eras of time. There's a mountain man that's standing over here in mountain man garb. There's cowboys and cow ladies that are, they've got the working attire. I'm excited to see this.
Yes. I wish I could have been able to get a hold of Don in time to have him come down, because he loves to give tours of his collection.
Right.
And he's the best one to give them because it's his collection.
It's his collection.
He knows when he's gotten each piece and how and where and why and
that
what
was
they
what was fun
the
with
history.
Sherm. is, you know, he knew where these cars came from, and he was able to tell us the stories behind them. And sometimes the stories are better
behind
than
acquiring the vehicle than the vehicle.
I did a
itself.
podcast called The Journey, where I just talked about how, you know, you have a destination sometimes, and you take detours from the destination, and a lot of times the destination isn't nearly as good as what the journey was.
Yes.
So, yeah, exactly. You know, I mean, yeah, this is a neat piece, but the story behind it is so
much more to tell.
Wow.
Yes. So here's our jail.
And you've got a safe in here. You've got a desk in here.
Safe.
There's a couple of coats. It looks like a buffalo coat.
Guns make it look like some old
beaver
gold.
coat, maybe a coyote or something coat, a Hudson Bay blanket, an antelope mounted on the wall, some deer horns. And then we're over here to the cowboy collection.
Yeah, our Cody case.
And you've got
Buffalo Bill.
Is that who that is? Okay, Buffalo Bill memorabilia. Okay, now I've been to the Buffalo Bill museum over in Cody, Wyoming, and they've got quite a bit. But this is amazing.
Yeah.
You've got several guns. You've got gloves and harnesses, and not harness, but halters and some of that kind of stuff. Some books.
Alpaca chaps.
Ooh,
cool.
yes.
Yeah. And you have your different whips and your horsehair.
And now who is this over here? Is this...
I think it's just to showcase the different leather.
For the ladies versus
for the
men?
ladies. Yep.
Okay.
You have your different
Because I know
boots
Buffalo
and
Bill,
chaps
he had
and gloves.
Annie Oakley and several of those on his tour with him, and I didn't know if maybe this was some of that stuff.
I don't think particular. I don't think so.
No,
I think it was just
just female outfit. Yes.
Yep. Wild West.
Well, that is cool.
And we got our saddles, rifles.
And then the firearms display.
Yeah.
All kinds of little revolvers with pearl handles and bone handles and regular handles. And
Yep. And then the Indian war drums.
oh, I did.
Chinese.
I stand here and look at all the guns, and I don't even pay attention to the.
And then you have your
drums.
Chinese fighting knives. That's an old inkwell that looks like a gun, but it actually held their ink.
Wow. Yeah. This,
for their quill pins.
This gun separates into two halves. There's a inkwell gun here, and the place where the cylinder would be, there's a inkwell that can be contained inside of there.
Yeah, and you have your boot jack in the shape of a gun, your opium pipe.
Oh, yeah, that looks like
then.
one of the old muzzle loading type guns. And the stock, the end of the stock is a pipe, and the barrel is the sucking on part. I don't know what you'd call that.
Yeah.
Wow, some of these aren't real guns. They're just pieces of
like cast iron commemorative gun.
Yeah.
And
a glass gun, a gun made out of glass. I did not realize that's what that was. A steel starter gun. Wow.
Some of your old muskets and some old guns that have been found.
Okay.
You know, over a period of time, dug up from the ground.
These are all really interesting.
Yes.
A bicycle rifle with metal shoulder stock and large holster. Huh.
Some more of your Western
cowboy memorabilia. You've got, again, some slickers and quilts and some shovels and shaps, saddles. Wow.
Large spur collection, the different types, the different places they come from. You know, some of them you're
and you've got
Western,
it looks like there's
you're
probably
Texan, Mexican, you know, just everybody had their own different
spurs.
Preferred spur, yep.
And you've got probably 150 of them in this case. And sets of spurs. Wow. Yeah. Some of these have some pretty vicious looking spines on them too.
Yeah.
And some of them aren't too vicious at all. And
then our Peacemaker, our large Colt.
Yes, again, a whole lot of Colt revolvers,
Yes, pearl handles.
a couple of Remingtons, a couple of Smith and Wessons. But just if you're into firearms, there's some really nice display here. They've got a pearl handle with a carving of a lady on it. That is really neat. And another carving here. What is that? Looks like some sort of a bird. Maybe an eagle? It is an eagle.
Yeah.
Carved into the ivory on the handle.
Yeah, it's like the eagle with the snake and the Mexican flag. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and then we get
really
into
cool.
some Native American artifacts.
Yes, you've got some beadwork.
Moccasins and the gloves, the
That's
headdresses.
a really neat bag. There's a coyote bag with, or is that
It
coyote?
might.
That's too big to be coyote.
I
That
do believe
face
that's
is really
wolf.
big. It's wolf.
Yes.
Yes, so it's got the wolf face and the bag behind it.
Yes, and all the
Wow.
different
You've got
baby moccasins and
the long feather headdress, and then it looks like you've got a porcupine. What are they? Roach. They call them porcupine roach headset. Wow.
and the symbol that the Nazis used
That
was
hijacked.
actually dates way back, and it's from the Native American culture.
I think
And
it
do
goes back
believe-
even further than that. I've seen buildings.
Yeah.
There's a building that I know of that has those on it that was built in 1914.
Yes. And I do
And-
believe it means like long life or long happy life, something of that nature.
And it also
Something very good, and
There's
not
lots
what-
of different things, but that was a very strong symbol. It was used
Yes.
to a lot of different cultures.
Yes.
And the one that I'm familiar with is it's the four winds coming from every direction. But it does look just like a Nazi sign. And now we've got this bad
So
connotation with it.
that's a lot of
but it
people
was
go,
so
well,
good.
why is that on there? You know,
Right.
so yeah.
We've got other words and stuff that don't mean what they meant 50 years ago that are in songs, and you listen to it and you go, whoa, what does that mean?
Yes.
Oh, and these here
So-
are all little boot
Yes.
guns.
So
Wow. Little palm guns, little derringers of all
Yeah.
different kinds. Now, these palm guns, like these ones up here, are really interesting to me in that the cylinder held the bullet and you held it in your hand with the barrel between your fingers, and you just squeezed your hand and that would set off the trigger.
yes.
So very discreet
And-
when you were at a party and the mob member that you didn't like was there also.
Yes. Big Nose Kate, who was
Doc Holliday's girlfriend.
acquaintance. I don't know how they wanted to put it back then, you know, but it wasn't like
Right.
girlfriend or partner.
And that's
I mean,
her gun that she had. Wow. These are all really neat, these little derringers and the small
yes.
the
Just-
small guns.
Very unique.
And then we move on over here to this one. Again, we have a bunch of bridles.
Mm-hmm.
Or not. These aren't
Yep.
bridles. Are they
Yeah.
bridles?
Yep.
Doggone it. How come that word's slipping me? Yes.
Yeah.
And we've got
Bits.
some bits.
Bits.
There we go.
Bits.
Bits.
They're
Yes, the
bits.
bridles what the bits go in. That's how come things weren't clicking with me. Wow.
Yeah, that's why I was
Some
like,
days-
wait,
some
now I
days I
know
need
that
another
we're
brain.
really close. We're really close to what they are. They're bits.
And now these ones here are pretty cool. I have never
Yeah.
seen the naked lady bits,
Right?
but there are two of them in here. I don't know how old those are or what kind of reactions they got when they rode those through town, but they've got a pretty good selection of bits, and they're all older bits. So, and a bunch of
So-
leather chaps and pants, and some old
Got
saddles.
some more saddles.
Oh, we didn't look down these little things
yes.
here.
So this
Wow.
is Custer relics.
Oh, these are Custer family relics,
Mhm.
or were these things that he actually had when he was coming across, and had his debut at Little Bighorn?
Yeah, that's why. I think so. I want to say yes.
And we've got a
family.
silver set and some arrows, some swords, some feed bags, harness soap. Wow. And that's from Custer.
Yep. So in here, we kind of have the different gambling artifacts that they would have had, their little boot guns and
Brass
the dice.
knuckles.
Yep. You got your cribbage, your knives.
Whiskey flask.
Yep, your flasks, all your different things, the cards. Cards back then didn't have numbers, so I mean, people really had to think about their cards when they were playing with them.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yep, early day cards, they didn't have numbers on them. They just had
I was not
however
aware of
many.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, and then when we go from the gambler, we come over here to
and
the
then
law.
we come to the law enforcement, the different badges, the different clubs, the different, you have your come-alongs or your,
shackles.
there's another name for the come-alongs, and it's iron claw.
Okay.
So they were either known as a come-along or an iron claw because they could just.
What did you do with those?
Those ones they were able to snap on their wrists.
Oh, okay.
And they are extremely uncomfortable. There's no wanting to any movement, and it just pinches down harder. And they were able to just kind of drag them where they needed them to go.
Wow.
Hence the iron claw or the come-along.
Okay. And they got a double-barrel shotgun over here. That's a stagecoach driver's double-barrel shotgun. It says Cattleman's Bank and Tea, Great Falls, Montana, carved into the stock. This probably is not a legal gun, as the barrel's only 12 inches long.
Yeah, no.
But it probably did its job.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lots of different handcuffs and badges.
And I don't know, how would you like to continue? We can go back this way and finish off the frontier stuff.
Let's do that, and then we'll just take a walk back to the back part.
Because we have two more exhibits.
We have some more pistols of different flavors here. We got the pepper box with the barrel that turns and has several different barrels on it. Some percussion muzzle loaders.
Yep.
Wow. And then there's kind of he must be the sheriff. He's all fancied up wearing his frock coat and has his padlock in his hand close to his gun.
Yeah.
Again, some saddles, lots of different holsters. And what do they call those wrist leathers that are like back over here? There's some pretty ornate cuffs.
Cuffs, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And those are leather bands that are probably 8 inches long that go around the wrist and come on up the forearm.
Yep.
I'm
to
not
avoid
really sure what the
rope burns.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I've seen those in lots of places and have never really known what they were for.
So this one's a ceremonial blood Indian
Okay.
costume. And so this would be what they would wear as their costume for their ceremonial event.
Okay.
And you have a lot of you have the warrior shield, and that would be fox.
Okay.
And then a few of the items down are from more of the coastal Indian, Native American
Okay.
objects.
Yeah, and he's got a feather headdress and a leather glove and some other Indian type artifacts, seashell necklace.
And buffalo teeth.
And buffalo teeth.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
and then a
now-
rifle collection.
Yep,
1866 Winchester 40
Winchester.
Yellow Boy, 4440 Yellow Boy. And then just some more fancy kind of looking cowboy attire. There's a beaded vest and some nice chaps. Another real nice saddle. Some more bridles without the bits. No, there are bits there. And some other guns, a Civil War bugle, and a lot of Civil War firearms, and then also some flintlocks. Wow. McClellan saddle, those were used in the Civil War. And then a mountain man with his, is that a flintlock or percussion? That's a percussion. He's got a knife in his boot and his powder horn and a tomahawk on his hip, wearing a skunk skin hat.
And then that's Don Kappa.
Okay, that's the guy
He's
that
the owner of this large collection. Yep.
And that chair, it's got a whole bunch of cow horns, probably steer horns, and that's what makes up the whole chair. There's a whole bunch of them there, but the way they're all threaded together, it looks like it might even be a comfortable chair to sit in.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So in here we have that's our Mexican saddle. Pretty extensive Blackfoot Indian Native American headdress.
A lot of woolly chaps.
Mm-hmm.
Several pairs of woolly chaps.
Yep.
You've got
so that's going to
horse in
be
here.
your alpaca and your llama, and there's another one, and I can't think of the name. Our Mountie outfit. That outfit was worn by the gentleman that's in the picture down there.
Okay, he's a county Mountie from Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You got some more rifles in the back.
Yep. And a pretty ornamented saddle there with a bunch of silver plates and stuff on it.
Yes.
Wow.
It was a
and
parade saddle.
1860s brass military telescope.
Yeah.
Now, that's pretty cool. I wonder what the optics were like in that. Just, I wonder if it was 4 power, 8 power, or just how much extra you were able to get. Nowadays, if you had something that long, it would be
more saddles, old chairs.
Really old chairs.
They used to stuff them with horsehair and hay in the old chairs.
Those are some neat old chairs too.
You have your chuck wagon.
I've always liked the chuck wagon. The chuck wagon was like a regular wagon that they use that you see, and then they had what they called the chuck box in the back that had drawers and compartments. So you could put all of your bowls and flowers and all that kind of stuff for cooking out on the range. And so and it folded down to where when the big door of the box folded down, a leg would drop down and you'd have a table.
Right. And this pool table was owned by a past warden.
Okay. Over at the penitentiary.
Over at the prison. Yep.
Yes. Okay.
And the building that we're in right now that makes up all this wonderful, this used to be the original Mule Barn for the prison.
Oh, okay.
And so this gives you an example of what how much work was done.
These are all wood pieces. These are like wood bricks.
They're wood bricks. And this is what they went through. They had to clean all the uck and muck and off.
From when they cleaned this back up to looking original.
Yeah.
This is so cool. You can see all the grains from the wood. This is like the butt end, and then they cut them into bricks. They're brick size. They're 2 inches or 3 inches by 6 inches, and all laid in here together. And you can see all the different textures to the wood rings. This is just really, really neat.
Yep. And so this building was built in 1918 and was the prison's mule barn.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did the whole mule barn have this floor in it?
I do believe so. I think this was the section that they saved.
Wow. Yeah, I did that.
So this is one of our running exhibits, our World War II exhibit. So it's going to give you a feel for all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
This piano also was donated by a past warden family.
That's a huge piano.
Yes.
It's
and these were, they had a particular name because they were easy to be moved into the wagons and moved out of the wagons.
Okay.
They're
kind of a grand type piano, but box grand or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I can't believe I can't remember the name. And it was because their shape was perfect. Take the legs off and you put them right into the back of the wagon and take them to where they needed to go and pull them back out of the wagon.
Really?
Yes. And so
I did
it's
not
like
realize that. I've seen several of these.
Wagon piano. Oh, I
Wagon
can't
box
believe
piano?
I'm blanking it. But unique little different things. Skis. These skis were used during World War II. And they were brought back So my neighbor, when he was a kid, he used old barrel pieces of wood as skis because he couldn't afford skis. And so when his uncle came back from World War II, he brought back his skis from World War II.
And then everybody had some skis.
And so then he had skis.
Okay, and you got the newspaper clip for Oahu, bombed by Japanese planes. Oahu.
So that'd be the Pearl Harbor. This is a large collection up here of what was brought back from Germany. So these are Nazi
bayonets and
artifacts that was brought by an American.
Okay, and you got a couple of guns in here and some of that kind of stuff. A Nazi
all
helmet.
the different uniforms and helmets and guns, Japanese swords. This Powell County, the community actually created this during World War II to honor all their serving members.
Okay.
And it was in storage, and we ended up getting it, and we kind of went through and found our missing and broken pieces and redid it. We painted it, restained it. We had the original documents to explain exactly what everything was. So if we weren't quite sure if that was still supposed to be a certain gold color, we had that document to tell us what we had to recreate. The eagle is missing. It used to be in the basement of our courthouse, but we had a major flood in 1980. So it had some work.
But this was actually done while they were serving.
Yes.
Do you know much about these ration tickets and cards?
A little bit.
Okay.
So this was actually from a family here in Deer Lodge. This was their actual ration booklet.
Okay.
And so each family got a booklet, and that's what, you used to get your milk and cheese and
Because all of these commodities were rationed during World War II.
Yeah, so you could only get so much of everything.
Right.
So kind of like we're lucky we didn't get ration books when everybody started buying up all the toilet paper.
Exactly.
We almost got toilet paper ration books.
Well, and along with that would have been some other things. But
so stretcher, carry out the wounded.
Right.
Telescope from would have been inside of. Why am I blanking on everything? Tank, thank you.
Yes, and that's got an angle in it, so it had to have angled optics so that you could see like around a corner for lifting out the top of the tank.
Mortar shells. A couple of these mortar shells are from World War I as well.
Now this one right down here.
Yes.
It's a big mortar shell, and it's brass, but it has a lot of design on it.
Yes.
And I was at a copper museum in Jerome, Arizona, and they had a very big selection of these. But what would happen is military guys had nothing to do for long periods of time, and they'd start pounding on those and pound those designs into them. Yeah. It's just totally fascinating, the intricacy of some of the designs, and you don't see those very often. But that one is really cool.
Yeah. And some more just artifacts.
And some more rations. Stamps.
And the American Red Cross, created during World War I. World War I is what created the American Red Cross.
Okay.
And this one, Sherm Anderson, that you met.
Right.
This is Sherm Anderson's father.
Okay.
And this is his jacket and belongings, his uniform here on the other end.
So was he a pilot, or was he a...
pilot. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Because I don't think he was a...
This is an impressive little case, though. He's got the leather jacket and the B17s, I think, and...
It's a lot of information that I have to remember, so you got to wait for my Rolodex.
That's just perfectly okay.
I'm like, you're getting me on some of these questions, and I'm like, ooh, it's like I'm taking a test.
Oh, sorry. It's not meant to be that way.
And this glass is from a B17 Bomber that actually crashed outside of Butte.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And it was on a training mission, or?
No, I think it was. No, I think it was during that time, and I think it was coming back in, and it crashed.
Did anybody live, or was
No.
it was?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we had one of those situations down in the Bighorn Mountains by where we're from. In fact, there's a mountain they call Bomber Mountain. It didn't have a name until the plane crashed.
And then do you remember hearing about the balloons?
Yes.
This is an actual piece of one of those balloons, and this balloon crashed outside of Butte as well.
Okay, now we're going to talk about balloons because it's maybe not politically correct and maybe part of history that some people don't want to deal into, but here we are. The Japanese decided that they wanted to send incendiary devices over to the United States. So they had their school children build these incendiary balloons. They would send them up into the atmosphere, and somehow or another they had a humidity type system on them to where they would lower or raise depending on humidity or something like that, or barometric pressure. And they sent up thousands and thousands of these balloons. And one of the first ones landed in Oregon. And a family got out of their car and went over to see what this thing was, because they were pretty good sized balloons. I can't remember how big they were. And then they had this incendiary device on the bottom. And when they went to investigate it, it blew up and killed the family.
Yes.
The United States really wanted to keep this quiet because they didn't want anybody knowing that the Japanese were actually attacking on American soil. And so these balloons landed in several different places. One of them landed just north of Thermopolis, Wyoming, and that was the one that kind of brought the attention to everybody that this was going on. Somehow or another, word got out from there. And these landed, I think, as far as the East Coast, kind of all across the country.
Yes.
And none of them did any damage. They didn't really do what they were supposed to do, but they were able to launch those things from Japan. They had it all figured out to where they'd be able to take the wind currents and just travel over here. So there was actual deaths due to these balloons in the United States, but it's kind of a piece of history that nobody really wants to delve into. So now we have delved. We have delved,
and we actually have a piece of balloon.
I have never seen a piece of balloon.
Me neither.
There are some podcasts out there that have touched on it. There's also quite a bit of information on Wikipedia about some of these balloons and what they did. So highly recommend, if you're interested in the balloon story and what all happened, go to Wikipedia, check it out. I'm sure that there's some History Channel stuff that talks about them, and it's really an interesting part of history. To me, the logistics of it is what's so amazing. You know, you have school children building balloons, you send them up in Japan, they fly thousands of miles before they land.
Across the ocean,
And the only thing that failed with the whole program was that the incendiary devices didn't explode the way they were supposed to. And from what I understand, the intent was to start forest fires and that type of stuff in order to destroy America through burning large forests and that type of stuff, to make it to where we were busy on that front instead of the front fighting the Japanese.
Yeah. This is another rare piece here. So this is, these ones are British ship recognition models for the airmen.
Okay.
That way they were the size of how high up they were. That's what the ship would look like. It would look that size. And so they would be able to know the enemy ship to the ally ship to their own ships.
Okay, and this is a training case then. And what we've got is about 18 or 20 ships, and all you see is the top deck, and they're probably 8 inches long. And like she said, it's what I guess it would look like if you were coming in on them from 10,000 feet or something, so you could identify your ships versus others. That is really interesting.
Yes.
That and they made them for,
so you had all the British fleet, you had the Japanese fleet, the American fleet, they had all of them. Yeah.
Wow.
This case we made for it, but otherwise they came in an original case.
Okay.
They would have came in an original case.
That would look very similar.
That's
to that
just what's, yeah. And a lot of that didn't really survive.
Huh. And then you've got a
this
coffin.
one, yeah, we have tons of stuff. Nazi, this is, what?
Nazi mess kit.
Yep.
Okay.
So
and some
we
other
have
uniforms.
Ton of different uniforms.
And these dresses over here, are these
This was just to give example of the women. The women that went to war, the women that were still home, the women that were mending their clothes, just that change in time of what was important then
so
and
these
what
weren't
wasn't.
necessarily what the women in the military were wearing.
No, we have one of our military uniforms here, but this is what the women on the front end were wearing.
Okay.
Because now we have all the men at war. Now the women are putting on their suit attire and they're going to work and creating and making sure that the home front they're either going into the factories or they're doing the the garden and the victory gardens and all that different kind of stuff. The women really started to break out during that time period and know that there was more out there for them.
Okay. Wow. And a flight jacket.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got a flag draped coffin.
Yes, and this coffin was donated by our local funeral home.
Okay.
And this was a coffin that was used to transport a body back during wartime.
Okay. And then again, you've got some more flight jackets and
and the flight coveralls, overalls,
some medals and some of
hats,
that kind of stuff.
medals. This is still Sherm Anderson's.
Oh, okay.
Yep, and we have
samurai sword.
Yep, samurai sword. You got your rifle and bayonet. I do believe this is a Japanese pistol.
This room here is really nice.
Yeah.
I don't know, nice, but yeah.
Yes.
It's amazing. The
so,
nice word is probably...
World War II was the last that they used, the horse cavalries and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the end of that part. But they did have a few. This is our Yellowstone exhibit.
Okay.
And so this exhibit is about F.J. Haines and his son. So they were the original, the father was the original photographer for the Northern Pacific Railroad.
Oh.
And as that railroad came over, he became, and Yellowstone National Park became a park. He became first original photographer for Yellowstone National Park. He was the first one to open up a souvenir shop in Yellowstone Park and have all those shops as everybody was coming through. And so this is his personal equipment, his souvenirs that he sold in all of his shops.
Wow.
So all of his cameras. This would have been where the chemical bag would have been inside. And the reason for its shape is because it went into a wagon.
Kind of like the chuck wagon.
Yep. So it was inside the wagon and it needed to be that way. And he still had his chemical bag so he could be developing his pictures. You have all the different tripods that he used. The lanterns, those are so unique. And magic lanterns is what they're called. So you put your slides in, it projects it. So it's your first era projection and that's how they would do their original movies.
Okay.
So how they would kind of, you had your different slides. You put your slides in, tell a story, kind of like reading a book to our children nowadays. Okay. But it projected it onto a wall, so you got more of a in-depth feel. So all the pictures in here are all the pictures he took. These are your hand-painted slides.
Also, they'd take pictures and then paint them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's the way you got your initial color photographs.
Yep. And so these types of slides, they would then go into that. And you could create, a big scene on the wall and tell a story about the park and going through the park. And so
we've got lots of pictures of like the north entrance out of Now I'm not going to tell you Gardner.
Yes.
Doggone, we're having a hard time with words.
You got the
You got
falls,
some wildlife
Old
photographs,
Faithful,
Mammoth
hot springs. Yep.
Yeah, just lots of really neat pictures, and they're colored slides from black and white photographs.
Yep.
Wow.
And then all of his different equipment, being able to see, your negative, the cameras, your camera slides, the little packets, stuff that he would have had on his desk, the different souvenirs. I mean, just
there's
you name
all
it.
kinds of things
It
in here.
is just.
And how did you guys end up with this collection?
This
instead of a place like Gardner?
We are just super lucky to have a lot of friends of the museum. This is one person's collection as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You'd think that this would be in West Yellowstone or in Gardner or something like that, and yet you've got it here.
And we've got it here. Yep. We've got it here. We got a little bit of everything to just kind of tie in. And this area is another area that I've had a Banach exhibit in here. A Banach exhibit that was half photograph exhibit from somebody who went and did, it was his, now I'm blanking on that, like a gallery exhibit mixed with artifacts. So it was our Banach exhibit, old postcards that you could have bought.
Old postcards. Now, are these some of the colored slides, or are these later time? Do you know that?
Yes, these would have been even from the colored slides. All of his different workings, they probably would have kept the same ones. They might have redone some photos, but some of these are similar to those older photos.
They look like it. Mm-hmm. Really, really nice.
Yeah, and all the different equipment you can think of that would come with.
It's amazing to think
taking
that
pictures
these guys
back then.
had to have all of this equipment, wagon load of equipment, to take pictures, and the amount of time that it'd take to do it. And we run around with our little cell phones and snap 100 pictures in 15 minutes.
That do all kinds of stuff. Yes, it's just amazing.
It is. It's and I've said it before at different museums. It's amazing the amount of travel that these guys did. The horse and buggy, horse and wagon, walking, whatever. But there were people that went from the Northern Rockies all the way down to Mexico, from the East Coast to the West Coast, and they didn't do it once. Some of these guys did it on a yearly or every other year basis, taking photographs and coming out to Yellowstone this year and Glacier next year, and Cowboys on the range the following year, and then back down to New Mexico for, and you're just going, how in the world
through
did
all
these
the
guys...
different seasons.
Oh,
I know.
just amazing people.
It really is.
When you think back, it boggles the mind, and then you see the ingenuity of some of the different things that are like in this museum, some of the different guns, some of the different bridles or bits or spurs, and they all had a purpose and a reason for being that way.
Yeah.
But it's such a different time, and trying to just figure it all out and seeing it to me is just a marvelous thing.
Just amazing.
And then you got your bear cub with a cup on his nose.
Yep, because in Yellowstone Park, what do they tell you? Don't feed the bears.
That's right.
But
you should pet the buffalo. You want to pet the buffalo.
You shouldn't play with the buffalo either. It's amazing.
It's amazing, isn't it? How many people think that it's a petting zoo?
Yeah, I think since I have the keys now, I should probably revert to my job.
It's amazing how many people get hurt in Yellowstone. And I need to put a disclaimer because I was speaking very sarcastically, because people seem to think that Yellowstone is a big petting zoo and all the animals there are fed on a schedule.
Right. No, they are wild. They are wild. You need to protect yourself from the wild animals.
And it amazed me when I read the brochure many, many years ago about what buffalo are capable of. They look like great big range cattle or whatever, but those things can run like 35 miles an hour. They can jump a fence 8 foot high. They weigh 2,000 pounds, and they're going to kill you.
Yeah, and they don't. You're small, and so we're kind of like mosquitoes to them.
Pretty much.
How mosquitoes are to us. Get away! What are you doing? And that's kind of their thoughts too. So, yeah, people
Anyway,
Just keep
Melanie,
that in mind.
I really, really, really appreciate you taking your
You guys
time,
are so welcome.
spending
I
it
love
with us.
this.
And I will send you a copy of this when we get done, as well as to Heather. And I
Yes.
so much appreciate Deer Lodge today.
Great.
It's a beautiful town. You guys have been so friendly and taking us through and showing us things. Again, I always finish with the world is full of wonders.
It is.
And you need to get out and explore, have fun, see new things, and have a wonder-filled day.
All the roll and go, where am I to go? Meet Johnny, where am I to go? For I'm a young and a sailor lad, and where am I to go?